Hey, good day, folks. I welcome you to another episode of Evangelist Life. Welcome to the town of Red Bay, Alabama, which is located in the northwest section of Alabama in Franklin County. So Red Bay's population is 3,187 people, and the town has been losing people at a rate of 2% as of the 2020 census. And if you want to live in this beautiful town, your median home price will be $134,000. However, there are houses for sale. Not too many of them, but there are houses for sale for as low as $114,000. If you're looking just to rent prices are going to go from $640 to $1,430 a month. That's median rent prices. And the crime, both violent and property, are below national average. It's a fairly quiet town. And let's look it up. I forgot to look up, see what bigger city is close to. So let's do that real quick. Alright, so if you're wanting to live in Red Bay, Alabama, you're gonna be about an hour from the Florence Mutual Shoals area. That's gonna be those are gonna be your largest communities to Red Bay.
Hello, Moto.
Sorry about that, people. You're gonna be a little over an hour and a half from Huntsville, Alabama. So you're not too terribly far from larger communities. And I like to give you guys that type of information. That way, for those of you that want to live here in Red Bay and you happen to work some sort of a 9-to-5 job, or you're wanting to set up a business somewhere that's more traffic, more people, more money, you'll at least have an idea of what you're getting into if you move here to Red Bay. And also for the purpose of going somewhere that will have more entertainment, more and better amenities as well. Now, if I can remember clearly, Red Bay being a smaller town, yes, you do got a few of your basic amenities here. Nothing special. They do have a grocery store and gas stations, and I imagine they have a couple of places where you can take your vehicle for auto service. And of course, they got Dollar General and a few restaurants. But other than that, there's not really much out here in terms of amenities because it's a smaller town. So as you guys will see in a minute here, as you guys will see somewhere in this video, this town does have a few basic amenities, but not too much, obviously. Let me get back to my other page here. Give me a second. Okay, so we left off at crime, and I told you that crime was below average across the board. I told you the rent prices. Okay, the racial demographics here are going to be 98.4% white and 1.2% Hispanic. Now, let me turn this off here. All right, now, Red Bay, Alabama was founded in 1907. The city's name came from the area's red clay soil and the red bay trees. Now, the red bay trees was named in the red bay trees. Now, the original name of this town used to be called Vincent. It used to be called Vincent's Crossroads, which at that time the town was located further to the southwest along the Gum Creek. Red Bay developed into a lumber and shipping center around the same time that the city incorporated in 1907 due to the branch of the Illinois Central Railroad that was constructed here. The Red Bay trees are one of the most well-known and admired plants in the city, apparently, that were planted in the 1930s by the Red Bay Garden Club. Now here's a little bit of history about its schools. Now where the First United Methodist Church is currently located is where the first school that was built in 1903 used to be. And when that school was built in 1903, the very first school that this town had, the school was ran by only one person. That person was in charge of teaching. Whatever paperwork had to be done, that teacher was in charge of that. And that teacher even was in charge of all the custodial duties of keeping the building clean and stuff like that. The second school was built in the early 1900s. They don't disclose exactly what year, but the second school was built in the early 1900s where the Red Bay City Park is currently located. And that school was also a small building. In 1927, another school was built. It was built for $45,000. And that structure to this day is still up. And many renovations have taken place over the last many decades. And within that school, you had football games. Football games were first played in the Pastors, where the Sunshine Home plant is currently located. Later, football games were played at the American Legion Field, where Tiffin Motorhomes are currently located. And Van Tiffin, I believe he's the CEO of Tiffin Motorhomes, or Tiffin Homes is a family-owned business here in town. So Van Tiffin, who played football for Red Bay High School, and I'm assuming he played football somewhere off in the very late part of the 70s and / the early part of the 1980s. Attended the University of Alabama once he graduated Red Bay High School. And he made his mark at the University of Alabama by his 52-yard game-winning field goal against Auburn. And this event is known as the kick in the Alabama's Hall of Fame. The Red Bay football team reached the state semifinals in 1990, 1997, and 2007. And the Red Bay basketball team, the Red Bay girls basketball team, has 5 state championships. The boys basketball team made the final 8 teams in 1995 with a 26-5 record. And as far as some important people who are from this community, of course you got Van Tiffin. I mean, he was the former American football place kicker who was a graduate of Red Bay High School. You also got Johnny Mac Morrow, who served in the Alabama legislature from 1990 to 2018. He also graduated from Red Bay High School. And there's not really a whole lot to do in terms of entertainment. I mean, you know, for the most part, you're going to have to drive over to either Muscle Shoals or Huntsville or some other larger community. But, you know, if you're interested in how motorhomes are built, or you want to at least get an idea of how a motorhome is built, you can always go to the Tiffin Motorhome Factory. Apparently they do have tours there. And, you know, real quickly, I'm going to give you guys my 2 cents about this place, as I typically do on most of my videos. I mean, as you guys have seen or continue to see, I mean, this is a relatively small, quiet, and low-key place to reside. And like I told you earlier, you do got some amenities here. And I mean, this is one of those type of places where, again, if living close to a metro area is not important to you, then this could be a place to consider calling home. Housing prices here are still relatively affordable. And many of your houses out here will come with a decent sized lot. I would say for the most part, you'll get a bare minimum of 1/4 of an acre. So if you're looking to live somewhere that's warmer, perhaps you're one of these people that want a homestead, or maybe you might want to buy some land and have a farm. I mean, I'm fairly sure there's a fair amount of land for sale out here. Now, if you want to live in town and you got a green thumb and you want to do a little bit of homesteading, you know, there's houses you can buy and do that. I mean, you know, when people talk about homesteading, people automatically assume that, okay, if you're going to homestead, if you're going to, you know, if you're going to have your own garden and things of that nature, you have to have like a massive amount of land. You got to have like 10, 15, 20 acres. And although for some people it would be nice to have that amount of land at your fingertips, there's a lot of people that are not able to afford that amount of land. And also there's a lot of people that simply do not have the time to maintain that amount of land, or don't want to maintain that amount of land. I mean, I grew up in the city. I grew up in Elyria, Ohio, a half hour west of Cleveland. And, you know, every summer we used to eat fresh fruits and vegetables. I mean, you know, my mom was always out gardening. She kept a compost pile of old egg shells and fruit and vegetable peels. And, you know, every during the warmer months of the year, we would always, eat fresh rhubarb. We had a peach tree in the backyard. We had fresh tomatoes as well. And we have fresh tomatoes, and there's a couple of other, if I can remember clearly, we have fresh carrots and fresh peppers too, as far as it goes for vegetables. And the house in the house that I grew up in Elyria, it wasn't even a quarter of an acre. I believe the lot size was like 7,500 square feet. So the lot size up there compared to what you'll get here in many parts of Alabama, the lot size up in Elyria was not near as big. It was, like I said, the lot size was around 7,500 square feet, not big at all. Just a typical average city-sized lot for the most part. But yet, my mom managed to make pretty good use of that lot. And plus, we grew up with dogs. We had 2 dogs. And there was still room in the yard for both the dogs to go outside and run around. And plus, as kids, we were outside a lot running around. So, as a family, we did pretty well with the yard. We weren't, we did pretty well. We ate good, we had fresh fruits and vegetables, and whatever we couldn't grow, I remember back when my mom used to get with her best friend, and they used to go blueberry picking and strawberry picking, and in the fall they would go to the local apple orchard and come home with some fresh locally grown apples. So you don't have to have an exorbitant amount of land in order to grow your own stuff and eat healthy. You can eat healthy and eat good and still have just a regular city-sized lot and live in a city. And one thing I noticed about here in Alabama is you got a lot of people that own larger lots, that own larger lots, and they're not doing no kind of gardening. You got some people that, they do a little bit of ranching. They got cows, because here in Alabama, we do produce a fair amount of beef. And of course, we also have chicken plants all over the state, because we do produce quite a bit of chicken. But in all reality, as I make my trip around the state and I record these type of videos, a lot of people that have larger lots do not have gardens, or 2, if they do have some kind of a garden, they have the type of gardens that you can grow perfectly on a city lot. So there's not a lot of people that I see around here in Alabama that are homesteading it up. Yeah, there's a few, but I would say for the most part, people really ain't doing it like that here. And the reason why I bring up homesteading here is because here in Alabama, compared to places further up north, such as the Midwest, your growing season here, of course, is going to be a little longer, because you're in a warmer climate. And plus, down here, you also have more days of sunlight than you have up north. So that's why when I do videos like this, I tend to bring up homesteading. Now, to be completely honest, and to me, this is kind of weird, and it might be weird to some of you, but I actually see more people with larger gardens up in Indiana than I see down here. despite Indiana being a cooler climate, despite the growing season in Indiana being shorter, despite there also being less days of sunlight compared to what's down here, I see more people up in Indiana and over in Ohio homesteading and having larger gardens compared to down here. In fact, many of your store products, for all you vegans out there, I mean, a lot of people might, like when you hear the word vegan, a lot of you guys might relate vegan to California. And I would say I would say for many people it's going to also be for political reasons. But spoiler alert, the majority, I would say over 90% of your store products that they sell at grocery stores are grown in Indiana. Not here in Alabama, not in the South even, not over on the West Coast, but in Indiana. Alright folks, that's my commentary for the day. So, if you like what you hear, consider subscribing to the channel for more of this type of content. And you can also give my videos a thumbs up while you're at it to help with the YouTube algorithm. And as always, I appreciate every last one of you for tuning into these videos and watching them. And another thing you guys can do to help me out and to help out other viewers is to go ahead and interact in the comment section, and we can start a little conversation down there. So on that note, everyone have a blessed one, and I will see you guys on the next one.